Hey everyone. So I finally got around to seeing A Monster Calls. I had read the book late last year and I was deeply affected by it. It pulls no punches and gets right to the heart of loss, pain, and grief, all through the eyes of a young boy named Connor, who has to watch his mother suffer through an illness. Um, Subject matter like this in book or film, it's no easy task to take on. After reading the book, I saw why there would be potential in a story as emotional as this one was. I didn't get to see this in theaters, sadly. It was swept under the rug, so to speak. So amongst like all the other award season movies, I just missed it, and that was in 2016. Recently, the movie was released, so naturally, I picked it up right away. So how is this movie compared to the book? You know, it really is wonderfully faithful and imaginative, and it's full of rich emotions. This is a really good movie, but it was not quite on the level I was expecting. The story is told through the eyes of Connor O'Malley, played by Lewis McDougall, in his first starring role. He is a boy in England who attends school by day and tends to his mother by night. His mother is dying of a terrible illness. The illness is never said out loud, but it doesn't take a genius to guess what it is. The mother is played by Felicity Jones from Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Jones is absolutely heartbreaking to watch. You immediately felt the mother and son bond of Connor and her relationship from the very first scene that they had together on screen. In fact, the entire cast here was pretty on point to how I read it and imagined it in the book. The uptight and strict grandma is played by Sigourney Weaver in what I think is one of her better performances she's had in years. Toby Kebbell gets a little screen time as the boy's father. He's good. I haven't seen him in much outside of the mocap world of Warcraft and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but he does have a nice screen presence. I'd like to see him do more work like this. The young boy, Lewis McDougall, he blew me away. The places that he was able to reach for his age emotionally, I mean, they're insanely good. I really bought into him as this boy that's torn up on the inside, that facing a terrible moral dilemma that I won't spoil. It's just a terrific performance, and he really, I think, will be an actor that you should watch down the road. I can practically put money on it. Now for the performance and character I really wanted to talk about. It's Liam Neeson as the monster. The Monster is a work of fiction that is conjured up through Connor's imagination. He is not sure why exactly the monster has come to him, but he knows to fear it. The monster is a great, hulking, giant walking and talking tree. Now I'll get this out of the way quick so I don't have to discuss it again. This is not Groot. This is not an Ent. What the monster is something that under the surface of his scraggly roots and his history, it's something very personal to Connor. The monster, I think, is by far the best part of the film. The creature is completely realized and pulled straight from the book. In fact, I'd say the monster is even better than how I had pictured him in the book. You can really tell a lot of love went into creating him. The visual effects on his face, body, lighting, his movement, and more are all top notch, and to me were a complete snub for the Visual Effects Award nomination at the Oscars. Monster aside, this truly is a gorgeous movie to look at. But making it more than just a visual effects show is the performance of Liam Neeson. And yes, it really is a performance. Neeson, under use of performance capture technology, he does the facial work, the movement, and the voice of the monster. It's up there with Andy Serkis as Caesar for me. His voice was perfect. It's graveled, wise, strong, and full of history. It's actually really hard to think now of someone other than him playing this thing. As intense as the creature is, it's also funny, loving, and most of all tender. Towards the end, I really was moved by his performance. The weight of it was so effective, and it was in just the right places. I commend Liam Neeson, as an actor for taking on a character like this, and really the entire team that visualized this thing and made, and breathed life into it. So yeah, performances across the board are great. Visuals out of this freaking world outstanding. The movie smartly takes the fantasy elements of the book and weaves it excellently with the reality of the situation. Excuse me. It would have been a real treat to see these visuals on the big screen. Gorgeous watercolored artwork is used throughout and really worked on every level. I think a large part of it is that it wasn't just pretty artwork for the sake of being pretty. It's it's to serve the story. The story here is different from the average coming of age tale. It's dark, terrifying at times, and brutally honest. There are glimpses of humor here and there, but it's mostly getting at the heart of something, and that something is loss. A Monster Calls serves as a guide in a way to the steps of dealing with what it's like to lose someone close to you. The author of the book, Patrick Ness, is also the screenwriter here. I always like it when you can have the author on to write the film that's based on his or her artwork, or sorry, his or her work. It doesn't always yield the best results, but it can allow for the work to be more honest to the original book, and in that way, it kind of shuts up the haters that always say the book is better than the film. But I really enjoy what Ness brought to the screenplay here for the most part. A good portion of the script is true to the original book, but there are some changes, some bigger than others. The best one that I liked, and I promise no spoilers, is a new layer he added that's more behind the scenes of the story. If you watch carefully, you can see there is something being said about belief and spirituality, like in religion. I'd love to get in a conversation with someone who has seen this to see if they agree with what I think about it. This edition, it wasn't in the book, but for the movie, found it to work better for the medium, and it was really a smart and intriguing addition that enhanced the story past what was in just the book. Now, all this being said, I did have a few issues with the movie that brought it down past what I think it could have been, and that's a masterpiece. I think A Monster Calls is a powerful movie on some levels, and it's one that should be seen, but the script does at times cause it to be hollow. What I found missing was more interactions with key characters that I don't want to say flesh them out better, but just gave us time to get to know them better. Does that make any sense? Basically, there's often times when I was watching, and it's almost like the film wasn't really quite interested in some of the smaller things to get from point A to point B to tell a complete story. It just seemed like they were jumping straight from super emotional scene to super emotional scene with not a lot of time to breathe in between. Had the script been a little tighter and more defined at times, I think it would have made for a more truly terrific film. Writing aside, A Monster Calls is a solid movie that should be seen by young adults and really anyone who has had to go through some pain like this. It's a beautiful story and has good things to say about dealing with life events like this. The visuals alone are award worthy, and the performances elevate the story even more. It's not a film I would watch all that often, but it's one that will stay with you and make you think and reflect on it afterwards. And not a lot of films have that effect on me. I'm glad this one did and that it stayed true to the book. I'm going to give A Monster Calls a B plus. So what are your thoughts out there? Have you heard of A Monster Calls? I mean, what are your thoughts on performance capture and motion cap technology? Do you have a book that you wish would become a film? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. As always, guys, thank you all so much for reading. Not for reading. This is the first audio recording review, so we'll see how this goes. But really, thank you so much for listening to this. And, just be sure to keep talking movies. And if you haven't already, just follow it on Facebook and on Twitter. And just because I like you guys so much, I am actually going to be giving away the digital HD copy of A Monster Calls right, well, not right at this second, but I will go ahead and post the image on Facebook. That's right. If you haven't followed on Facebook, go ahead and go on the Facebook. It will be up pretty soon after this recording goes up, so go ahead and take a look for it. But really, enjoy. It's my gift to you. And that's it, guys. Take care.